ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਓਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਸ ਕੈਂਪ ਗੁਰੂ ਕੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਤੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ right we've all come to Camp Guru Ke Pyare to have fun ਆਪਾਂ ਫਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਫਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ okay this is the probably more boring part of your day so get ready ਬਹੁਤ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੋਰਿੰਗ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਨੀਂਦ ਵੀ ਆ ਜਾਊਗੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੂਰਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਅੱਜ but mostly I'm going to be speaking in English because ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਮਿਕਸਡ ਨੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਸਮਝ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ is everybody understand English
ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ
ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਆ ਸ਼ਾਬਾਸ਼ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ ਪਰ ਮੋਸਟਲੀ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਨੇ they think in English and then ਦਿਮਾਗ ਫਿਰ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਲੇਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ right so when I'm speaking to you in English it's very easy to understand ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ oh so he said this and this in English is this okay now I get it so ਮੈਂ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ 'ਚ ਮੋਸਟਲੀ ਬੋਲੂੰਗਾ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਫੀ ਮੰਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੋਲੂੰਗਾ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ 'ਚ ਬੋਲੂੰਗਾ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੋਣ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ but the purpose is to get to you some information on birth of the Khalsa what month is it
April 1st
okay April ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ what's the big thing that happens for Sikhs in April Vaisakhi shabash so ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ date mostly what date usually more or less 13 right 13ish 14ish more or less so ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਹੁਣ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਹੈ and because of that we're going to talk about Vaisakhi how many of you know the history of Vaisakhi not everybody though right ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ history ਤੁਸੀਂ you'll find it in Gurdwara in Katha or you could find it in YouTube our purpose is to dive a little bit deeper okay ਆਪਾਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਤੋਂ ਡੂੰਘਾਈ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖਣਾ because the purpose is ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਸੁਣ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ we talk about the history talk about what happened ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ in Sikhi there is a question in your mind that should always be asked the question is why Sikhi ਧਰਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ important ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ in Sikhi we are a religion that asks the question why other religions may not want you to ask the question why in Sikhi it is very important to ask the question why ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ that is the foundation of Sikhi it just ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਨਾ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ tell me as a student is it important for you to learn something yes how do you learn teacher teaches you right what if you don't get it what's your job you have to ask ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ we're all students the word Sikh means student ਸਾਡਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ to ask and the most important question is why okay so ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਨਾਲ relate ਕਰਨਾ we're going to relate this all to Vaisakhi I'm sorry I have a very short microphone cord so if suddenly I fall blame the microphone okay Vaisakhi the very important key date बहुत ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ date ਹੈ 1699 and we will talk about the history mostly ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ history ਪਤਾ ਹੈ you may know more history than I do but again the question is not history the question is why so मैं ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ एक पहला question पूछूंगा this is not a me talk to you lecture this is a you talk to me too एक सवाल है मैं तो थोड़ा छोटा पड़ गया why should a person have a religion ਆਪਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਧਰਮ follow ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ why is a human being need a religion मतलब कारण ਕੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ you tell me ਹਾਂਜੀ
so like people can understand like if deaf people need to learn their religion like they can learn their science
they can learn what
the science how do you like talk
Okay.
To meet God.
To meet God.
To make sure they don't go to hell, and also to make sure they're not confused.
Okay.
One.
You just raise your hand to smile. Hanji.
So you can like go to your God, but like not go to like other religions' God.
Okay. So were you born knowing that there is such a thing as God? ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ? Okay. So you all gave very good reasons. Imagine karo that you're cavemen, right? Right. Right, exactly. We're kind of like monkeys, but we're a little bit better, right? And we're sitting around. One thing human beings have different from other animals is the ability to think a little bit deeper than animals, right? So just imagine karo that you're all cavemen sitting outside one day, staring at the stars, wondering, is my life really just eating bananas? मैं केले खा के जीना सी? आही मेरी जिंदगी है, right? Human beings have this capability to think beyond. So then human beings started to think, even back in those days, what is it beyond just me and me eating, sleeping, eating and dying? Hanji. Can I turn the volume down? Can everybody hear me? Is it too loud?
I can hear you. Too quiet.
Too quiet?
Too loud.
Okay, if I whisper the whole presentation, how's that? Okay, I will try to balance both. So, religion, when you ask different things, its purpose is to answer questions. ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਵਾਲ ਨੇ ਕਈ ਜਵਾਬ ਲੱਭਣੇ. So, what is the thing? Right? What is that thing that I feel? ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੱਡੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ. There's something out there bigger than me. It's not just 10 kids, it's not just 50,000 adults, it's not just what I see. There's something beyond that I feel. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ. I feel something. I want the answer to what that is. What is the meaning of life? Now, if you think about it, this huge brain, ਇੰਨਾ ਸੋਚ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਇੰਨੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਉਹ create ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, right? But after a few years, if you're lucky, 80 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੁਨੀਆ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ. You die. Was that really it? ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਕੇ, look at everything we've made, right? Is the entire purpose of human beings to live for 80 years and die? बस 80 साल जी के मरना ही है. आही सी सिर्फ जीवन, or is there more to it? How should I behave? Somebody asked that question or answered that, right? How should I behave? कि what is good? कि एक चंगा इंसान कितना होना चाहिए? What can teach me how I should be or how I shouldn't be? Religion teaches that. Like on, who am I? Am I just this body or am I something more?
Something more.
Something more. And what is that thing? Is what religion answers. Lastly, mere varge hor hage nahi? Are there more people like me who think like me?
Yeah.
Those are questions that you ask, and that's how religion is supposed to help you. Okay? The purpose of religion is to look at our life and see if there is something more than just eating, breathing, sleeping, and dying. Is there something bigger? And religion says yes. All religions say yes, there's something bigger. So very good. Now, मैं ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ अगला question ਪੁੱਛਣ ਲੱਗਿਆ. Did you know before Sikhi बहुत ज़्यादा धर्म सीगे? There were a lot of religions already. Sikhi, most people will say, oh thank God, तार लग गई.
मैं तो समझा मसीह हुआ
चलो हुण तां मैं तुर फिर सकदा चंगी तरह. ये तां कोई ना. हाँ, thank you. So, Guru Sahib Satkar rakhta hai, I'll try to be very careful not to wonder everybody, but I'll make this my wandering area. Before Sikhi, so Sikhi ਆਪਾਂ highlight ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ is 1469. 500 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ. Not that long ago. But Sikhi to pehla, look at all the different religions. Christianity, 1400 plus years before Sikhi. Judaism before then. Islam after Christianity. Most religions on this list, except for the last one there, are before Sikhi. Sikhi to pehla kai dharm sige. So when sawal paida hunda hai, the question arises, Sikhi the Lord ki si? What was the point of Sikhi? Did you ever think that? I have friends who are Christian, they're Jewish, they're Muslim. They're religions too, right? They follow their own religions, they go to church, they go to synagogues, they go to mosques, they pray. Asi gurdware jande. Saadi bani alag hai, unna di bani alag hai. They follow something different, we follow different. Why? Who has ever asked that question? Why are there different religions? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Have you looked into what those religions say a little bit? Like what they read into what they were about? What you do, when you read up on this, you find out these religions, they have some things that are similar, but there's other things that are different. So there must be something. Sikhi vich koi cheez alag honi hai. There must be something different in Sikhi than other religions. I'm telling you again, one of the biggest things in Sikhi is the question why. Okay? Oh, sawal thoda banda hai. This is your homework. I'll give you your homework right now. From now on until you die, maybe until next lifetime. Thoda farj banda hai to ask the question why. When you do something nicely, you have to find out the reason why you're doing what you're doing. If you're just doing it for no reason, that's not a good reason. Every single thing should have a reason. And in Sikhi, you may not know what the reason is, but that's your job, is to find out why you're doing what you're doing. So, all these religions existed before. So again, Sikhi, the Khalsa, the Lord, Kisi. By the way, Sikh, the Khalsa is the same thing. Okay? You hear that word a lot. Khalsa, the Sikh. Sikh, the Khalsa, which koi fark nahi hai. Sikh is Khalsa, Khalsa is Sikh. So now the question becomes, okay, so baki sare dharm sige, there were other religions, they existed before Sikhi, and Sikhi to pehla ho, chalo duniya chalo se, the world existed, right? What do you think the world was like before Sikhi? You tell me. Anji.
It had a lot of hatred and anger and bad stuff.
Had a lot of hatred, anger, and bad stuff, okay?
There's no oneness.
There's no oneness in the people, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. The people weren't together. They didn't consider each other one.
People were mean,
People were mean,
competitive.
competitive.
There was no equality.
There was no equality.
There was a lot of danger,
Like what?
like stealing stuff.
Stealing. Chori. Anji. Bored?
War.
War. A lot of those things you're talking about still happen today. Anji.
No control.
No control. Anji.
No love.
No love. This is सारी ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ. What you're saying is correct. If you read into our history, अपना इतिहास पढ़ो. वो इतिहास actually भाई वारा भाई गुरदास ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ. Who was at the time of Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਆਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ in very summary ਮੈਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਇਕੱਠੀਆਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਨੇ. Society is broken. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਸੀ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟੀ ਸੀ, ਉਹ it was broken. ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਇਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ. Nobody cared about anybody else. ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਕੇਅਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ. ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਰਜੀ ਮਾਰ ਬਣਾਈ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, as long as I survive, it's important. Men were considered here, women were considered here. ਆਮ ਇੰਡੀਆ 'ਚ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਔਰਤ ਪੈਰ ਦੀ ਜੁੱਤੀ ਮੰਨੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ. Women had no status. If you looked at all the religious preachers, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਡਿਤ ਸੀਗੇ, ਕਾਜੀ ਸੀਗੇ, ਮੁੱਲੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕਰੋ. You do all this, I don't have to do any of it. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਓ. The people who came from outside, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੁਗਲ ਸੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ? They came to India, they conquered it, and they forced everybody and said, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਬਣਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ. The scene was so bad in India that one of the first invaders of the Mughals, ਜਦੋਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਆਇਆ, ਉਹਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ? Let's have three of you guys stand up. ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਮੁਗਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਸ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਇਆ, ਉਹਨੇ ਕਾਜ਼ੀ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ, he asked his religious preacher, ਕਿ when a Muslim, ਜਦੋਂ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਗਲੀ 'ਚ ਲੰਘਦਾ ਹੈ, as he's walking in the street and he sees Hindus in the street, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹਜੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ exist ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ. Sikh didn't exist at that time when the Mughals came. What should the Hindus do as the Muslim is walking around? ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਤੇ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਖੜੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ? You know what the response was? The Qazi, the religious leader who calls himself a Muslim, said each Hindu should open his mouth. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਖੜਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਮੂੰਹ ਖੋਲੇ ਤੇ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੂੰਹ 'ਚ ਥੁੱਕੇ. As the Muslim walks by, he should spit in the mouth of every Hindu as he's walking by. Imagine ਕਰ ਲਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੇ as a Hindu, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਿੱਖੀ exist ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੀ, ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਉੱਥੇ, you are responsible to stand there, open your mouth and have a Muslim spit in your mouth. All this was done to make you feel oppressed, to make you feel bad, and to make you want to convert to Islam. You can guys start. If you didn't agree, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਬਣਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਮਾਰ ਦੋ. Thousands and thousands of Hindus were killed because they did not convert to Islam. Thousands. So, चलो मुसलमान कह रहे हैं मुसलमान पर मुगल सीगे, मुसलमान नहीं सीगे. They didn't follow their faith properly. हाँ जी. It's too loud. Sorry. तुसी ऐना करना दे कर लो. So, if the Mughals were acting like this, how are the Indians acting? ਜਿਹੜੇ mostly Hindu ਸੀਗੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ 'ਚ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਾਲੇ, ਉਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੀ? ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਪੰਡਤ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਸੀ. Pandit said, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਗਊ ਦਾਨ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਓ, give me your cows for free, ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਭਲਾ ਕਰ ਦੂੰਗਾ, they'll give me all the cows. Give me your wife ਵੀ ਦਾਨ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. I'm serious. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪੰਡਤ ਮੰਗਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਲੈ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ. Because he's the pandit. The pandit knows how to be religious, so your job is to blindly follow them. ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕੋਈ why. Nobody asked. Pandit ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਲੀਡਰ ਹੈ, the pandit is the religious priest, I have to do what the pandit says. Caste-based society. So ਤੁਸੀਂ imagine ਕਰ ਲਓ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ, you're living in a neighborhood, right? There's 4 types of people. There's the Brahmins, the priests that are at the top. There's the Kshatris, the warriors, the kings and the queens and royalty, which is next level. Then you have the businessmen, Vaishya, tije level, and Shudra, which are 4th. If a Brahmin was walking by and there was a Shudra, he would not allow his shadow to touch the Shudra's shadow. Because if his shadow touched his shadow, he would be impure. ਇਕੱਠੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. Literally, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉੱਪਰਲੀ ਜਾਤ ਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, they would treat the people in lower castes like animals. ਜਾਨਵਰ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਸੀਗੇ. Laborers, servants, slaves. Very big problems in India. Nobody was equal. So, aha situation ਵਿੱਚੋਂ India exist ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ before Sikhi came. And if you think it was any better for women, this is how women were thought of. Okay? Women were sneaky, slaves, impure, liars, not equal, weak, heartless. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ characteristics ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਨੇ, these are not characteristics of society. ਇਹ ਮਨੂ ਸਿਮਰਤੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਤੀ ਰੂਪ 'ਚ ਦਰਜ ਨੇ. These are written in the Manu Simritis, which are called a religious text by the Hindus. आप ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੋਲ ਕੇ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ. ਹਾਂਜੀ.
So when a man dies and they get cremated in the fire,
Yeah.
they throw the women in.
Yes. Imagine if you were married, you had family, you had kids, right? Your husband dies. ਪਤੀ ਉਹ ਚੜਾਈ ਕਰ ਗਿਆ, he's dead. In Indian society, they would throw you in the fire with the husband as he's being cremated. You are not allowed to exist alive separately from your husband. Sati. That also existed in India. Hanji.
the woman in the fire alive?
Yes. They didn't kill her. They threw her in there alive. Jinde maar de sige. This was normal. एक कोई अजीब चीज नहीं. It wasn't like, oh my God, that happened. It's like, oh हाँ सती हो गई सी. No. It's normal. हाँ जी.
Do they throw the kids in the fire too?
No. The wife.
When the Hindus came and took a bunch of stuff, when the Islams came to take from the Hindus, why didn't they fight back?
हाँ. मुगल ਜਦੋਂ ਆਏ ਤੇ ਹਿੰਦੂਆਂ ਨੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਮੁਕਾਬਲਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ. I'll give you an incident. ਮੁਗਲ ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਨੰਬਰ ਘੱਟ ਸੀਗੇ. They didn't have that much army.
But there's more Hindus though.
That's what I'm getting to. India ਨੂੰ invade ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ. India is full of Hindus, of which there's a certain group which is Kshatris, warriors, right? ਉਹ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਤਾ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਮੁਗਲ ਫੌਜ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ. There are invaders coming from outside. ਆਪਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਕਰੀਏ. They went and talked to the Brahmins, because the Brahmins basically ran society. ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮਣ ਪੰਡਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੀ ਕਰੀਏ. ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮਣ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਮੰਦਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਘੰਟੀਆਂ ਵਜਾਓ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੁੱਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਜਾ ਕਰੋ. They said go to the temple and go worship. And because the Brahmins were at top of society, ਏਦਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ. ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੁਗਲ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ? ਘੋੜੇ ਚੜਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਾਰਤੇ. They killed all the Hindus that were there. ਮੂਰਤੀਆਂ ਮੰਦਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ they took all the things they were worshipping, the Hindus, put them on the ground, and they rode their horses over the murti and broke them. ਇਹ society ਸੀ, because the Brahmin's word was the law of God. ਉਹਨੇ ਬੋਲਤਾ ਇਹ ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਬਚਨ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ.
But if the Brahmin is bad, why didn't they just do anything about it?
Why they what?
If the Brahmin was bad, why didn't they do anything about it?
Because ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਗ੍ਰੰਥਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮਣ ਟੌਪ ਤੇ ਹੈ. It's law. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਨਾ? When law happens, sometimes ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਲਿਖਤੀ ਚ ਆ ਗਈ ਨਾ, when it's written down, people don't necessarily ask the questions, they just do it. ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਚ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਹੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ. Your responsibility is to ask questions, and the number one question to ask is why. ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ why allowed ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ. Nobody was allowed to ask why, because they said this is law. Okay? So Mughal Empire also was not that small. It was a huge empire that took over all of India, and it was one of the richest, if not the richest empire that existed. बहुत पैसे थे मुगलों में. Even today, if you look at people who are really rich, they call them moguls in the US. Have you heard that? That guy's a mogul. Mughal अखर है हो जिहड़ा वरत रहे ने. Because बहुत अमीर है, they're very rich. So आह सारे environment ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਧਰਤੀ ਪੁਕਾਰ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ, when the entire earth was screaming for some help. ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ ਮੈਂ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਊਂਗਾ. All the world was screaming in pain and suffering. Then Guru Sahib ਭੇਜੇ ਗਏ ਸੀ, starting from Guru Nanak Dev Ji to Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And you've heard a lot of this history already. ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਗਟ ਹੋਏ ਸੀਗੇ, they brought their uniqueness and made Sikhi more and more. ठीक है? All of these things we talked about, ये सारी चीज़ां पे गल कीती सीगी. How India was before and how, frankly, the world was before. Guru Sahib ने आके इधर बहुत बड़ा बदलाव लेके आए. जिहदा असी नाम कहते हैं Sikhi. Sikhi was the revolution that changed the world. I keep saying world because a lot of times we say India. किसी ने रिसर्च किया गुरु नानक देव जी महाराज ने बहुत दूर तक अपने यात्राएं कीतियां सी, including up to Italy in Vatican, and met supposedly the Roman Catholic Pope and said human equality is a very important thing to प्रचार. So Guru Sahib literally सारी दुनिया फिर के आए सी. So ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਕੰਪੇਅਰ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੱਕ ਕੀ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਸੀ. First, the world was divided into castes. And by the way, caste is something we said, talk about India. There are castes in other societies too. The rich versus the poor. If you look at medieval England and those countries, there were the priests, there were the lords, the kings, their vassals, the businessmen, and the common peasant. There was a caste system in other countries too. So, ਉਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ exist ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ. And royalty versus common. I'm rich, you're poor. ਸਿੱਖੀ ਨਾਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਆਹ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟੀ ਦੇ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੇ, all human beings are equal. Can you imagine living in a society ਜਿੱਥੇ ਸਾਰੀ society divided ਹੈ, I'm a shooter, ਮੈਂ ਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ, ਮੈਂ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮਣ, ਮੈਂ ਆ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, and suddenly somebody comes and says, no, we're all one human being. Oh my God, it was a huge change in society. ਸਾਰੇ ਹੈਰਾਨ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੇ. I'm not something different from the human being sitting next to me. One of the biggest things that we take for granted, ਆਪਾਂ ਲੰਗਰ ਛਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, right? When we eat langar, we eat langar sitting together. If you go to Harmandir Sahib, how many of you guys have been to Harmandir Sahib? Okay. Harmandir Sahib, ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਲੰਗਰ ਛਕਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆ ਜਾਏ, if somebody comes to eat langar, and if they're Muslim, do they tell them to go sit somewhere else? ਜੇ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਬਿਠਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਗਰੀਬ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੋਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਬਿਠਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ. They all sit in the same place, right? That didn't happen in India. India ਤਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ. ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀਗਾ ਇਹ ਨੀਵੀਂ ਜਾਤ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਬਾਹਰ ਬੈਠੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਪਰਲੀ ਜਾਤ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੈਠਾਂਗੇ. They never ever saw each other as equals. So Guru Sahib came to the world and actually said, no, you're all human beings. Like we're talking about men versus women. The left side column is how women were before, and the right side column is how women were after Sikhi. Pehla sati jehdi apan hun gal ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ, husband dies, wife goes in the fire, ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ. Caste system, even when you read about the caste system, ਚਾਹੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਹੈ, even if the woman is born into a Brahmin family, she's still considered the lowest caste. It doesn't matter which caste you're born into. Bibi har vele shudra si. Didn't matter. Forced marriage and conversions. Didn't matter if you wanted to get married or not. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता सी. विवाह करना है, कराना है, कर देना सी. Abducting women and forcing them to marry and convert to Islam was normal. And again, I keep saying Islam क्योंकि मुगल ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਕਹਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਪਰ ਇਸਲਾਮ ਧਰਮ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਫੋਲੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ. ਹਾਂਜੀ. Distraction? All right. ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਚੇਂਜ ਕੀਤਾ. Gave them the same rights as men. Up to where ਆਪਣੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਵਾਸਤੇ, you know how we have people who do ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰਕ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੇ, half of the ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰਕਸ were women. ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਤੇ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਸੀ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਹੱਕ ਵਿੱਚ. ਬੀਬੀਆਂ used to be the ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰਕਸ as well. ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ. Guru Sahib in Asadiwar wrote, why should we call bad those women who give birth to kings? ਆਪਾਂ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਐਵੇਂ ਨਿੰਦੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤਾਂ ਰਾਜੇ ਜੰਮਦੇ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮਾੜਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ? Women should be treated with respect. Guru Sahib wrote that even in Gurbani. Up to and including ਜਦੋਂ ਜੰਗ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, when there were fights against the Mughals, battles, women would actively participate. ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਮੋਢੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੋਢਾ ਜੋੜ ਕੇ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੂਝਦੇ ਸੀ. They used to fight as well. That was unheard of. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਕੋਈ ਜੰਗਾਂ 'ਚ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ. It was a man's thing. ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੂਰਾ ਹੱਕ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਜੰਗਾਂ ਜੁੱਦਾਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਜੂਝਣਾ ਤੇ ਲੜਨਾ. I'd do it. Accepting each other. Imagine ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ 'ਚ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ. A Muslim, a Mughal would look at a Hindu and say, kafir, he's a non-believer. Hindu, mostly Brahmin, would look at a Muslim and say, Malish, he's impure. They wouldn't see each other as human beings. ਮੇਰਾ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਗਲਤ. ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਹੈ, look at the after. There are people of many, many different backgrounds, some from Hindu, some from Muslim, from all different backgrounds, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਦਰਜ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ. ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ of different people from different backgrounds is in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. To show, again, equality. ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਜੀਣ ਦਾ ਹੱਕ. Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib gave a Shahidi not to preserve Sikhs, but to save Hindus from being destroyed. I'm not going to get into the history of that. Okay? All these things are things that changed. ਇਹ ਬਦਲਾਅ ਸਾਰੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਆਏ ਸੀ in society. So all of that was to set up this background कि सिक्खी ने ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਸੀ ਹੁਣ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ, right? Now the question is this, we'll get to the topic. What's so special about Vaisakhi? Vaisakhi ਵੇਲੇ ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ?
If the woman dies and then does the man get thrown in the fire?
Nope. Doesn't work that way. Only if the man dies, the woman has to go in the fire. Anji.
Where would the kids go after them?
Someone of the relative has to take care of them. Anji.
What if the relatives die?
They're what you call orphans. Either somebody takes care of them or they live out on the streets. Anji. Okay. So, this question, Vaisakhi ware ki special hai? What do you think is so special Vaisakhi? Looking for new faces. Anji. Birth of the Khalsa. Khalsa da us vele janam hoya si. Was Khalsa something that just popped out of nowhere? Okay. Khalsa was something that was finalized in 1699. Hanji.
The Panj Pyare was like.
We'll get to that. Very good. I'm glad you know. So in 1699, I'm going to do a very quick history. Thode aapa itihas aapa cover karke fir we'll get back to that Sikhi question of why. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj ne in 1699 Vaisakhi vele ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਚਿੱਠੀਆਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ. They wrote letters, lots and lot of letters to ਅਲੱਗ-ਅਲੱਗ ਸੰਗਤ. ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਓ. With all those letters written, about 80,000 sangat came. 80,000 is a lot of people. It's more people than living in Madeira probably. Okay? 80,000, 80,000 ਸੰਗਤ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਵੇਲੇ ਇਕੱਤਰ ਹੋਈ ਅਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ. Now imagine ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹਰ ਵੇਲੇ ਉਹ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ. Those Sikhs would meet Guru Sahib. Guru Sahib was always very kind, very nice. ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਬਹੁਤ ਦਇਆ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਬੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਸੀ, right? And suddenly the same Guru comes out with a Sri Sahib, a 3-foot sword in their hand, and said, "Manu sir di lord hai." I know you guys know this history. I'm going to recap very quickly. Manu ek sir di lord hai. Can you imagine out of the 80,000 response ki aaya hona? Shock. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸ਼ੌਕ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅੱਜ ਸਿਰ ਕਿਉਂ ਮੰਗ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ? ਸ੍ਰੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੱਥ ਫੜੀ ਹੈ, ਸਿਰ ਮੰਗ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਹੈ. That's the thought in a lot of people's minds. 3 ਵਾਰੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕੀਤੀ, ਤੀਜੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਭਾਈ ਦਇਆ ਰਾਮ ਜੀ ਉੱਠੇ. Okay, and again, as I'm doing a little quickly, ਇਹ ਫਿਰ ਬੇਨਤੀ, ਇਹ ਹੁਕਮ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ, ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਵੰਗਾਰਿਆ 5 ਵਾਰੀ ਟੋਟਲ, 5 ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਕਰਬ, ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਵਿੱਚ 5 ਪਿਆਰੇ ਬਣੇ ਸੀ. But ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉੱਥੇ 80,000 ਬੈਠੇ ਸੀਗੇ, some ran away. Some of them went to complain to Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's Mata Gujri ji. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਾਤਾ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ. Please stop them. ਸਾਰੇ ਸੋਚੇ ਸੀ ਅੱਜ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹਿੱਲ ਗਏ. They were not in the right place. Mind ਹੋਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਿਆ. ਪਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਕਾਰਜ ਕੀਤਾ. ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਇਆ, ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਦੀ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਅਲੱਗ ਪਿਕਚਰ ਡਰਾ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗਾ. ਇਹ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਲਿਖਾਰੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਟੈਸਟਮੋਨੀ ਹੈ. His name is Abu ul Turani. Abu ul Turani was a spy of Aurangzeb, who was the Mughal emperor. Abu ul Turani ਲਿਖਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ 5 ਪਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੰਗਾਰ ਕੇ ਬੋਲੇ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਿਰ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ, ਉੱਥੇ 5 ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਖੜੇ. He writes, Guru Sahib chopped off their head in front of the Sangat. So there's 5 shareer ਉੱਥੇ ਲੰਬੇ ਪਏ ਨੇ. There's 5 bodies lying on the ground with their heads separate from their bodies. Guru Sahib then took the head of one, put it on the body of another, head of this one on the other body. Then ਉਹਨੇ stitching ਕੀਤੀ. They stitched the head on a different body. ਉਸ ਨਵੇਂ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਸ਼ਰੀਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਸੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ. Then they put Amrit that they had made. Go to the next slide. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ, they put it in the mouths of those 5 Gursikhs and they came back to life. Guru Sahib put Amrit in their mouth, said, "Bol Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh," and they got up and they said, "Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh." ਉਹ 5 ਜੀ ਫਿਰ ਜਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ. ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ, And by the way, I keep saying the word Amrit means that which makes you deathless, immortal. Amrit. Mirt means death, means without death. That which makes you immortal. ठीक है ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੋਈ ਜੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਹੀ ਉਹੀ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਦੀ ਮੰਗ ਪੰਜਾਂ ਪਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੀਤੀ they asked for amrit themselves and the Panj Pyare gave Guru Sahib amrit as well. So Guru Sahib was not only the person who created the Khalsa, Guru Sahib was part of the Khalsa. So can somebody tell me if Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj aapne amrit mangya, how important do you think amrit is then for a sec? किन्ना कुछ जरूरी होगा अमृत एक सिख वास्ते जे गुरु साहब आप उस चीज ਨੂੰ ਮੰਗ ਰਹੇ It's too loud, you have an answer. Too loud. Haji. When is your lesson done? See, I told you I'd bore you. I don't know, but we'll keep going until they tell me. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes, and then you get to do the next thing. So, Guru Sahib ne aur aap amrit mangya. It's how important do you think it is for a Sikh to then be given amrit? Haji.
Really important.
Very important. What's the word guru mean? Do you know? Teacher. So, apne Guru Sahib ne se aur sikhande si, right? They are teaching us something by doing this. It's so important that even the Guru requested amrit from the Panj Pyare. So, apanuta naturally we have to go towards that, right? We have to also prepare ourselves to become amritari one day too. So, all of the Gurus built this house of Sikhi. They put inside this house a room for compassion, daya, charity, vand ke shakna, equality, that we're all equal, honesty, sach bolna, sach jeevan vich rehna, justice, insaf, right?Eh sare jada kaam kita, this house was being built brick by each of the Gurus. Har ek Guru Sahib, Guru Nanak Dev Ji to leke Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj ne aha ghar tayar kita. Te ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਛੱਤ ਪਾਈ ਗਈ the roof that covered it and made it complete was the Khalsa in 1699. ਇਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਆ ਛੱਤ ਬਣਾਈ ਤੇ ਛੱਤ ਸਿੱਖ ਪੰਥ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਰੱਖ ਦਿੱਤੀ. Now the house was complete. So it's not that Guru Sahib made a brand new thing which is separate from Sikhi. They completed the house of Sikhi by making Khalsa. So what is the Khalsa? Guess what you get when you become part of the Sikh Panth, the Khalsa? You get a new father. You get a new mother. Your father from there on is Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. Guru Sahib himself is your father. Your mata is Mata Sahib Kaur Ji. Interesting, the name of this Gurudwara Sahib, right? You get a new birthplace. Because from there on in, your city is, where you were born, is Anandpur Sahib. The house is Keskar Sahib. The new name, if you didn't have the name Singh or Kaur, you're given a new name with the last name Singh and Kaur. You're given all this. Now you might say, oh, that sounds interesting. Why would you do that? Karan ki siga. Imagine that you're a person who was a Shudra before. Imagine tusi koi Hindu parivar de Shudra sige, te tusi amrit shak liya. You went from whatever guy's name is to, let's say, Daya Singh. Singh means lion, right? You went from somebody who was a nobody to somebody who everybody in the world respects. Who had a new father, a new mother, a new city, and a new house. They were given the Panjikakar. This form that you see of a Gursikh, eh Roop Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj da. This is not something I invented. This is what Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj used to look like in different ways. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੂਪ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਸੇਮ ਕਕਾਰ ਇਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਹੈ ਮਾਤਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੌਰ. You look like your parents after your amritari. So ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹੀ ਕਕਾਰ ਪਾਏ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਪ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ. So Guru Sahib literally gave you their identity. Khalsa mere roop hai khas. They made you the final form of a Sant Sipahi. And they also did the same thing that you were doing before. Naam Japana, Bani Padni. That didn't go away. That was also still part of your life. So in the interest of time, let's do a quick thing here. What did you get when you were sick? This is called Rat. You wake up early in the morning and you remember God. Naam Simran. You read Nitana Baniya. So Gurbani da Paath kar do, Vichar vi kar do. You read it, you try to understand it, follow it. You do Sangat. Right now, if you didn't know, you're doing Sangat. Okay, we're sitting and learning and talking to each other and learning from each other. Sangat. Seva karni. Now, tell me something interesting. Je ek Sikh hai, and they wear the clothes and the kakar of a Sikh, but they don't do everything else. Amrita nahi uthde, Nitnem nahi karde, Simran nahi karde, oh Sikh hai nahi. Oh, for Sikhi nibha nahi rahe. They're not following what they're supposed to be doing. Imagine a house, right? If it's a person who just wears barna and looks like a Sikh, it's like a house with nobody living in it. It's just an empty house. Khali kar hai. Baro ta kar lagda hai, par andar kuch nahi hai. There's no substance. A house is made into a home by the people living in it. Sikhi da jehड़ा ਘਰ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਉਹ ਵਸਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਬਾਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਭਰਦੇ. That's what makes us Sikh full in the inside. So ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਬਾਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਉਣਾ. We also have to have the inside part of our Sikhi, which is Naam and Bani, Seva and Sangat. So, if Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj had to go to the Panj Pyare and get Amrit and become part of the Khalsa Panth, how does a Sikh today become part of the Khalsa? This is Sikh कितना बन सकता है आज के ज़माने में? How do you think that works? From the Panj Pyare. Yeah. So ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj ਨੇ ਆਪ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਦੀ ਦਾਤ ਮਿਲੀ ਸੀਗੀ is the same way Guru Sikhs are given Amrit to this day from the Panj Pyare. That has not changed. Okay? So ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ Gursikh ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, whoever person who is ready to become a Gursikh can go to the Panj Pyare and they will ask questions कि ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ, and if they deem you ready to become an Amrita Gursikh, they will give you Amrit if you promise to follow Sikhi. So now the question becomes, ਆਪਾਂ ਉਸ stage तक पहुंचना कितना है? How do we become like that? Nobody knows. पता ही नहीं. आके गुरुद्वारा साहब आओ, लंगर छको, हो जाना काम. No, not like that. So तैयारी कितना करनी है? This is your job. This is where you have to take over. Is ਆਪਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਸਿੱਖਣੀ ਹੈ. Who here goes to a Punjabi school? Okay, if you don't go, start going. Learn Punjabi. Why? ਸਾਰੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਬਾਣੀ, ਸਾਰੀ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੈ in the Punjabi alphabet, Gurmukhi. You don't know how to read Gurmukhi in Punjabi, you're going to have a lot of trouble doing part and understand what Guru Sahib says. Be proud of who you are. Don't be ashamed, oh, I'm so embarrassed the way I look. No, be proud of who you are. And the way you become proud of who you are is by reading history. Jada time I have to do on Vaisakhi apan vichar karni because it's very important. But when you read history, you start to learn a lot about your superheroes. Okay? What your superheroes look like were this. I'll tell you something about them very quickly and we'll do Samapti. Corner top, Baba Deep Singh. 80 plus years old, had a khanda in his hand that weighed 32 pounds. 32 pounds is more weight than some of the kids sitting in this sangat. Took up a khanda, 32 pounds heavy, fought, got his head chopped off, picked up his head, kept fighting to Harmandir Sahib, did Matha Tek, and then became Shaheed. The next is Baba Banda Singh Bhadar. With very few resources, only with the blessings of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, Baba Banda Singh Bhadar established the first Sikh empire. Sikhan da Raj ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਾਇਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ was Baba Banda Singh Bhadar. Baba Baljinder Singh, relatively short Gursikh, went up against an elephant, twice his height, at least. Only with the blessings of Guru Sahib and the Barsha that Guru Sahib gave, took down an elephant. Hit the elephant in the forehead, elephant turned around and attacked the Mughals instead. If you want to come to more modern times, we all talk about Sant Jarnail Singh, Khalsa Panth. Sanjay Lal Singh ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਪੜ੍ਹੋ and read about how much Bani he had kant when he was just a little boy. How he memorized Bani in days and sometimes hours. ਕਿੰਨਾ ਬਾਣੀ ਦਾ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਕੀਤਾ, ਕਿੰਨਾ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ. What their life looked like when he wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ 10 ਮਿੰਟ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਾਨਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਦਾ, thank you for giving me another day. ਸਾਰਾ ਦਿਨ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਸੇਵਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਥਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ. Right? People like Bhai Manvinder Singh, who spent so many years in jail and making sure ਕਿ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਰਹਿਤ ਨਿਭਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੀ. To make sure that India could be free of the British, because the British were oppressors. Not because India no British ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣੀ ਸੀ, because people were being oppressed by the British, including the Sikhs. People like Bhai Avtar Singh Brahma, the Gursikh from Bidhi Chandal, who became Shaheed. These Sikhs were so, this kind of characters, I'll give you a little episode of Shaheed Bhai Avtar Singh Brahma. Jadon he's sitting with other Singhs from Bidhi Chandal, they're reading this newspaper, and said, look, this French guy is riding 2 horses. Singhaj back and Nihan Singh ਘੋੜ ਸਵਾਰ ਕਾਫੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਦੇਖੋ 2 ਘੋੜਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਚੜ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਫ੍ਰੈਂਚਮੈਨ ਨੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਭਜਾਤੇ. ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਭਾਈ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਫ੍ਰੈਂਚਮੈਨ 2 ਘੋੜੇ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਭਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ, ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ 2 ਘੋੜੇ ਤੇ ਖੜ ਕੇ ਭਜਾਊਗਾ. ਐਂਡ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਭਾਈ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਰਮਾ 2 ਘੋੜਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਖੜ ਕੇ ਬਾਈ ਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ 2 ਘੋੜੇ ਭਜਾ ਕੇ ਦਿਖਾਇਆ that a Sikh ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ. One last episode on Shaheed Bhai Avtar Singh Brahma. ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਘੇਰਾ ਪੈ ਗਿਆ, when he was in a village and the police had surrounded him.
It's so hot though.
Right. ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ ਘੇਰਾ ਪਾ ਲਿਆ ਤੇ ਘੇਰਾ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਭਾਈ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਬ੍ਰਹਮਾ ਨੇ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ come and get me, try. When the police had overwhelmed them so much, ਪੁਲਿਸ ਇੰਨੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਸੀ, ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਭਾਈ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਬ੍ਰਹਮਾ ਨੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕੀਤੀ, ਗੁਰੂ ਹਰਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੀ, ਆਪ ਜੀ ਇਸ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਦੀ ਪੱਤ ਰੱਖੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਪ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਕਰੋ. ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਭਾਈ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਬ੍ਰਹਮਾ left where he was with guns all around, ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਗੋਲੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ, and he was able to escape without a single wound. ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਨੇ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਨਿਕਲ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਗਏ? ਭਾਈ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਸਿੰਘ took out his undershirt, ਬਨੈਣ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਾਈ ਸੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਦਿਖਾਇਆ. ਬਨੈਣ had holes of bullets all over it, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਵੀ ਬੁਲਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗੀ. His banan was full of bullet holes, but he didn't get hit by a single one. These are superheroes. So, ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵਰਗਾ ਬਣਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ. Not these. This Superman is not real. Spider-Man is not real. Right? These Jedi, Star Wars, not real. Wolverine is not real. ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਵੱਧ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ. People who have done way more than these people have existed in Sikhi. So ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਹ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਮੈਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਦਾ and it gets glossed over, is ਆਪਣਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਪੜ੍ਹਨਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਹੈ? Because then you realize who you actually are meant to be, what you're meant to be like. When you talk about people who, there's so many that you can talk about. These people who were able to fight against millions and millions and millions of odds and still win is where you can be like. These are not stories, these are what you can be like as well. So main thing is that you guys ask the question why. It starts from why, and when you go down the path of why, you come closer and closer to Sikhi, and you start to understand, appreciate, and love more. Okay? ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਇੰਨੇ ਕੁ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ. You guys can ask me any questions you want afterwards as well. But main thing to take away today, ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ, ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਫਾਈਨਲ ਰੂਪ ਬਣਿਆ ਸੀ, ਖਾਲਸਾ. ਪਰ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ is why? Why do we do the things we do? And I know for a fact you guys have a lot of those questions. So as we go throughout the day, ask them. Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa.